What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. I'm Michigan Sports Talk here, and in this one we got some big news as Michigan football looking to open up their 2026 season in Germany. We go over that, the pros and cons, and then also the five-star running back Savion Hiter sets his commitment date. Plus we talk about what Sherrone Moore said at Big Ten Media Days as Team 146 ready to put on a show. Plus he talked about Bryce Underwood, how much they'll be running him, and also the quarterback competition, why the starting job is still open. He also talked about the offensive line, why he loves the competition in that room. Also the crazy depth on the defensive line, the great duo of Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall and the running back depth they have, and also the wide receiver room, Donovan McCauley, as he again compared him to Nico Collins, and edge Derek Moore responds to Ohio State wide receiver Jeremiah Smith's comments. It's all going to be in this video and more, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so to start this video, I first wanted to give a shout out to our channel members. Thank you guys all so much, and thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate all you guys, and obviously everybody who is subscribed to the channel, and also everyone who is active in the comments and drops a like. I appreciate everyone and all the support. But today we got some interesting news early this morning as the Wolverines appear close to finalizing a deal to open the 2026 season in Germany, as it would move their season opener to week 0 to take on Western Michigan, and the game would take place on August 29th in Germany. And I know a lot of Michigan fans are questioning this. Some aren't gonna like it, some might like it, and there's both pros and cons to both of it. You know, the pros is that, you know, there's international fan base growth potential there, also something that may go under the radar, but it could give them an extra week of Oklahoma prep as they take on Oklahoma week 2, but moving that game to week 0 would give them an extra week of preparation there. But then the cons is, you know, giving up a home game, and it's also a lack of a marquee matchup between Western Michigan and Michigan. You know, Michigan taking on Western Michigan isn't that big of a game. So let me know what you guys think about that. Very interesting right there. And then I do want to talk about what Sherrone Moore said at Big Ten Media Days. But first, we got news on the 2026 five-star running back Savion Hiter, as he has officially set his commitment date, and he is set to announce his commitment on August 19th, as he has a Final Four of Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and Tennessee. However, Michigan and Tennessee have generated the most buzz as of late, and the Wolverines looking to land their top priority target in the 2026 class out of the five-star running back Savion Hiter, as he sets his commitment date for August 19th. But with that, let's go ahead and talk about what head coach Sherrone Moore said at Big Ten Media Days, as the Wolverines, along with Coach Sherrone Moore, Max Bredesen, Ernest Hausman, and Derek Moore, spoke at Big Ten Media Days. But Sherrone Moore represented the Wolverines, and a couple of things he said right away is that, you know, last year we hit a couple of speed bumps, but we didn't allow those to become roadblocks. We overcame a lot of adversity and had a successful end of the year, but really we're not living on that. We know that's done. We know that's past us, and our jobs now are to write a new story on what the University of Michigan and Team 146 is all about. And he obviously praised everybody, you know, the coaching staff, the players, and everybody around the program, and he said they've done a tremendous job changing their bodies, building a true team this offseason. Team 146 is excited and ready to go. We're geared up, and like I said, we've got the conditioning test tomorrow. Next Wednesday we kick off camp, and we're ready to put on a show. As I absolutely loved hearing that from Sherrone Moore, saying we're ready to put on a show. Michigan, you know, their new offense, their elite defense, they are returning. You know, these players are ready for a bounce back season, and they are ready to put on a show, like Sherrone Moore said. But a couple more things here that he said throughout the day. First, on Bryce Underwood, he did say that Bryce Underwood is up to 230 pounds of muscle, but they still will be careful with him about him running the ball and everything. He said, I think whenever you have a quarterback, they've got to have the ability to do that, but if you run your quarterback, you'd better have two. And he even recalled, when JJ McCarthy wanted to run the ball more and have more quarterback runs, he'd say, no, you're not, because I don't want you to get hit. And Michigan's quarterback room was obviously thin as well, but he said, it doesn't matter how big you are, the dudes that are going to hit you are bigger. So those are the things that will make a decision on if Underwood becomes a starting quarterback when those times come. And he did say, though, before anyone asks, it's an open competition. He's not the starter right now, and he's got to go out and earn it. And even Max Bredesen talked about Bryce Underwood. He said there's some wow moments, like a throw he'll make that's very impressive, and then at the same time you look at him and be like, this guy could put on a couple pounds and might go play edge. There's some wow moments like that. As Bryce Underwood, only 17 years old right now, but as Sherrone Moore said, he doesn't look like a 17-year-old kid. And then another big topic, obviously, is the offensive line. Michigan's offensive line struggled last season, looking to bounce back this season and get back to the standard. And Sherrone Moore said, I feel even better this year that we have at least 10 guys competing for those 5 spots. And where I think it was maybe 6 or 7 the year before, but he said, I feel like there are 10 guys competing, so no one can relax. And when you have that, then you feel like you've got good competition and you can get better every single day. So obviously great right there. A lot of options, it seems, for Michigan on the offensive line, and the competition should be great, especially going into fall camp. And Sherrone Moore also talked about the crazy depth on the defensive line. He's mentioned about the 10 deep rotation that they said, or that they have. He said, 10 deep. I think you've got 6 inside guys and 4 outside guys, which is crazy. He said that I was talking about it the other day. It's like the second string offensive line is going to feel like they're dealing with the starter defense, and it's like, dude, you better buckle up when you go to practice because it's deep. And when asked about Derek Moore and TJ Guy, he said, as good as any in the country. I feel bad for the offense sometimes when they're going against Derek and TJ, but it's every year. It's like you go against the Michigan edge rushers and you feel like every year there's a new guy that pops out. And he did say, I'm glad they're on our team and it's a fun duo, but it's going to be hard to stop those guys. And Sherrone Moore also talked about the great running back duo of Jordan Marshall and Justice Haynes, but he also did speak on, Michigan adding the running back depth from the transfer portal. They got C.J. Hester and also John Volker. He said both guys that have played college football that add depth to the room, that give us more bodies in the room, that definitely add special teams value to the room. And he said they'll challenge and push those guys that are the presumed leaders, the Justice Haynes, the Jordan Marshalls, the Brayson Coosdales. They'll push those guys and make sure that they're on their stuff as we go out throughout the year. But he said Justice and Jordan, they're going to be a great duo because Justice is a home run hitter, but so is Jordan, and Jordan is that physical thunder that you need. So it's going to be fun to watch those guys. And he also said that, Brayson Coosdale is a guy that really took on the reins in the spring. He had a great spring game. And then also Micah Capana, though, is another guy, but I wouldn't put out Jasper Parker, the freshman. He said he's built like Hassan Haskins, big, strong, physical, but he's a freshman, so we'll see what happens. And then he also spoke on some of the wide receiver room, but more in particular, obviously, Donovan McCulley. He said, first off, big, tall, strong, fast, explosive, big playability. He gives you what we kind of got with Nico Collins. Now, we've got to put in the work to see what he's going to do, but in the spring, he flashed more often than not for being a big play receiver. So we're excited to see what he does, and in the locker room, he's been great. And obviously, he talked about the size that they've added, to the wide receiver room. You got Donovan McCulley. They brought in Jamar Browder, who is a tall, deep threat receiver. Channing Goodwin is a taller receiver that's going to be a sophomore. And then obviously the freshman, Andrew Marsh, who isn't the tallest, but, he can still go up and catch the ball. And he's going to be a very good young player for the Wolverines. And then they also got Jacob Washington, the freshman, who is a taller receiver as well. Already added some 2026 commits to our tall receivers. So, they've added the size back to the wide receiver room, which is what they have been lacking. And then Michigan also has guys like Kendrick Bell, who saw a lot of playing time last season. They still got Peyton O'Leary, Samaj Morgan, Frederick Moore, obviously, who could potentially be starters along with Donovan McCulley. And those guys, all of them in that wide receiver room, obviously want to change the standard in this upcoming season. In the future, they're going to have the chance to do that with a new OC, new revamped offense like we've talked about, and then also a quarterback that has elite ball placement like the true freshman quarterback Bryce Underwood. And then also I wanted to mention edge Derek Moore on what he said about the rivalry against Ohio State, but also the lead up to the game this past season. He said when it was time to go, we pretty much just huddled up, had a talk, and said, this is all we got, this is all we need, all we have on that bus with us, that's all we need right here to go out and compete. And obviously Jeremiah Smith, Ohio State wide receiver, did say recently this offseason that, he didn't go to Ohio State to lose to that team up north. He said, I just hate them, something about them. For the next 2 years, I promise you, I will not lose to them. I can't lose to them in the next 2 years. But Derek Moore, he said, I don't really have any reaction to it. All I can say to that is see y'all in November. If that's how he feels, that's how he can feel. But when November comes around and it's time to play, we're going to see, as the Wolverines looking to make it 5 straight against the Buckeyes this November in Ann Arbor in the Big House. But with that, that's going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to go ahead, drop a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more if you are new around here. I greatly appreciate it. And we will see you guys in the next video. Go Blue.